Megan Hall, thank you so much for joining me today. USA Today's For the Win. Listen, I had to have you on because, girl, you called it. Brittney Griner to the Atlanta Dream. I know I'm not saying that you were the first to report it. I'm not trying to take credit from anyone, but I'm saying you talked about this. You thought we could possibly see Brittney Griner headed to the Atlanta Dream. First of all, it was a shock to all of us when we heard that Brittney Griner was even contemplating signing with another team. It was early talks earlier before free agency started. Everyone just sort of assumed BG would be returning to the Phoenix Mercury. And then it came out that she was going to be exploring new teams. And when that came out, you thought Atlanta might be the fit for her. And that's what it ended up being. Why did you think that? And tell me, what do you think of this move?
Well, first of all, I've been laughing all morning long of all of these responses of, I'm so shocked and what? I never saw this coming. But if you've been paying attention, this was evident, right? Atlanta needed a center, and they've actually kind of needed one for about 2 seasons now. It's been kind of an ache there. I actually saw it happening because Brittney Griner opened the door, right? She was like, hey, I'm leaving Phoenix. I want to go test free agency, right? So I started thinking, I'm like, where does it reasonably make sense? And Atlanta came immediately to mind. I try not to be biased because I think you guys know, most people know by now that I have some connection, of course, with the Atlanta Dream, covering them and outside of USA Today. But I started thinking, okay, this could really be a fit. And also, you got to think about it. Free agency centers don't just come falling out of the sky, right? Like, especially one with as much background as Brittney Griner. And so for Atlanta, at minimum, they had to get on the phone, right? Like, hey, girl, like, what are you thinking about? Like, would you even consider this? But it made a ton of sense. If Tina Charles is not coming back, Brittney Griner is the next logical decision. Maybe some other options, would be there too. But this is a lovely fit. And I also say this too, and do with this information what you will, but every time Brittney Griner has been in Atlanta, it's always been a warm welcome from Atlanta fans. So it's not something you see from opposing fans a lot, welcoming these players with these huge grand applause and that sort of thing. BG has already loved it in Atlanta. So I'm here for it, totally here for it. Also, one more thing, shout out to Dan Padover, who said he was going to be aggressive in free agency in terms of getting players around Ryan Howard, which is Atlanta's star. He mentioned, hey, Ryan is our star, but she's not the only player on the team. We want to make sure that everyone eats. And so how do you do that? You go out and you get somebody to help everybody eat.
Well, yeah, Megan, that makes so much sense, what you said. And yeah, like the Atlanta Dream is making moves. Like, they were not a team that was on my radar. You and I have had like conversations offline about, free agents potentially coming there. So now they are a team that we have to pay attention to. And of course, they had stars and Ryan Howard there and Alicia Gray. So it's not that we didn't pay attention to them, but I feel like this kind of move, when you have those two there, plus adding Brittney Griner, now you're thinking about, okay, this is potentially a team that can contend maybe, or now you're starting to think of them in a different class of teams. Another thing I really loved is the way that this was announced, right? I love that. Okay, the girls are down in Unrivaled. Now they're doing their own free agency announcements. So let's just take a look here really quickly at how Brittney Griner at least told the world she was going to be moving on to the Atlanta Dream.
We are out fishing right now. We got Jordan Canada.
What's up?
Ryan Howard. Alicia Gray. Right here. Boom, boom. Well, I actually messed up on my intro. I need to introduce my new teammates because I will be joining the Atlanta Dream. Yo! Let's get it! Hey, let's get this, right? Let's get it. Let's do this, okay?
See, now I'm really
Yeah. Let them see it. Dream, baby. So free agency has been everything I wanted it to be. Honestly, I was able to find where I wanted to go. And honestly, what led me to that decision ultimately was the team, the players, as individuals, and then also like my family. So, I mean, I'm thrilled for this chapter. It's my first time going into free agency. And it was cool, it's a hard decision because, you're leaving what you know, what I've known for my whole career. But there's an exciting factor of like, okay, like this is like a rebrand now. Like, this is like, I get to show them like something different.
All right, that's a wrap on BG Outside the Lines. I want to thank my teammates for being here, making this day special for me. Damn it. Thank you. Yeah, outside the paint.
Listen, I love that. I loved that video. Like, oh, let me start again and reintroduce myself, probably my new teammates. Like, okay, BG, and seeing how happy, Jordan was, Ryan and Alicia. I mean, that was so cute. The video was so cute, but just, what do you think?
It's so precious, honestly. It's so wholesome. Everyone's super excited. And you might have noticed, if you were paying attention, Jordan Canada kind of dropped a hint earlier in the day that this video was coming, but no one really knew what it was about. She drops a hint that they're on the back of a boat or whatever else. And then this video comes out hours later. I mean, it's just all kinds of wholesome activity is happening. And I love it. I love that for BG. She looks happy. She looks refreshed. And the team looks excited too.
They do. And I mean, the team is really going to potentially look different next year, right? I mean, Brittney Griner's coming. I don't think we're going to see Tina Charles, and you've spoken about this a little bit and why. So you may want to elaborate on that. We're seeing some names like Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, who could be moving to another team. So while the Atlanta Dream, we know what maybe their new big three is going to be, they may really look different. And so, you tell me, what do you think? How different are they going to look? Who are we going to have next year?
Yeah, I think this was evident, right? Like, once Tanisha Wright was gone, like, you kind of had to figure Atlanta was going to try to shift the franchise a little bit. They hire a brand new coach. You don't hear anything about Tina Charles, and then all of a sudden this BG, trade comes in. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, Tina probably has to be walking, right? I can't really imagine a world in which you'd have both BG and Tina Charles on the same team, right? Tina also came out of retirement for Tanisha Wright and Dan Padover. So that's a lot. I think it would be a lot to ask her to come back again, right? I can't speak for her, but I'm putting, two and two together. I think in terms of the team looking different, this was evident, again, at the end of the season, you're shifting, you're realizing, okay, hey, we got to look a little bit different for next year if we want to keep pushing the button there. Speaking of Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, of course, you mentioned she's potentially looking at other teams. I think this was evident to me. Cheyenne is a former All-Star in 2023, super productive, but did not have a productive 2024. And that was a couple of reasons. So one, in the beginning, she and Tina Charles were on the floor at the same time, and it was a little awkward. Cheyenne's used to playing, the 5. She was asked to play a 4. That's her original position, but she hadn't played it in years. So it was just all kinds of like awkward energy. Then she unfortunately had an injury towards the end of the season and couldn't finish out the rest of the season. So in my mind, I kind of knew, right then and there, I was like, oh, this is going to make it tough. Maybe, she walks on, if Atlanta decides to move in a new direction. So whatever happens, yeah, Dream fans, if you didn't think this team was going to look a little bit different, you should know now. This BG move definitely signals that. And also, there was another move yesterday, too. I think it was Shatori Walker-Kimbrough from the Mystics as a 1-year deal. Like, yes, this is the Atlanta Dream saying, hey, we are moving on and we're moving forward.
Yeah, well, I just want to know if you have any messages really quickly for Aces fans, because some of them, we know A'ja Wilson still needs help in that front court. And so I think they're looking at Cheyenne Parker-Tyus as a potential player who can help with that. And apparently she's canceled meetings, according to the reporting from our friend, Callie Lawson-Freeman, like that she's decided not to meet with other teams because she wants to go to the Aces. Well, maybe not wants to, but she's more focused on the Aces. That would be a preferred destination for her. So with that being said, should Aces fans look forward to Cheyenne? Was that just a down year for her? Do you think she would fit, and how she would look on the Aces? Do you have any quick thoughts on that before you go?
Yeah, I mean, I would go look at that 2023 season. That was her best year as a pro. I mean, just absolutely cooking once she gets going. She's got impeccable footwork right underneath the rim. It would be a really welcome sight, I think, in Vegas. To get A'ja Wilson some relief, right? That's hard to do. I mean, but Vegas knows that they need to address it. So you get Cheyenne in, you get an instant relief. Plus, like I mentioned, she can play the 4 and 5. That's something Vegas will probably want to lean on a little bit. And here's one more thing that's probably most people aren't thinking about. But Cheyenne has a daughter named Naomi who is absolutely precious, and she might just become the team's new mascot. So if Cheyenne signs with the Aces, I'm gonna be a little bit jealous because Naomi is precious, but Aces fans will love Cheyenne and her family and Naomi as well, of course.
Meghan, thank you so much for joining me. There's no one I want to talk to more than you, especially when we're talking about the Atlanta Dream. Thank you so much for your great coverage. And if there's anything else we need to know about something coming down the line, you please make sure you come back and join me to talk about it.
All right.
Thanks, Meghan.
Thanks.